Dave Major. I'm back here at Cisco Live, and we're up here at the Cisco Press bookstore, actually, is what it is. And you can get Cisco gear, everything else. I'm with Kevin Wallace. How you doing, Kevin?
Doing fantastic.
Obviously a very popular author with Cisco Press, and you recently released the new CCNP Routing and Switching Certification Library, right?
I did.
Awesome. Now that obviously must be very popular, but so before we go there, just first tell us a little bit about yourself, how you got involved in routing and switching and all the technologies with Cisco.
Sure. Yeah, I remember, kind of grew up in a technology family. My dad worked for the local telephone company, and when I went to college, I got my degree in electrical engineering, kind of focused on telephony, and that was going to be my career path.
Okay.
Then I went to work for a university, and I thought I was going to be their telephone, their PBX administrator, but to my surprise, they wanted me to build a computer network that was centered around Cisco routers. If anybody's listening remembers them, it's the old Cisco AGS Plus routers. It's like 1989. And I just fell in love with the Cisco routers, and then later on the Catalyst switches, and I started doing more and more with certifications at the university. Went to work for Walt Disney World for a while. I was one of 5 network designers down there.
Okay.
And then taught a ton of courses online for about 14 years. Wrote a bunch of books for Cisco Press, and just love the technology. It's the thing that I just have the most passion about.
Awesome. Okay. So now the new product, the new CCNP Routing and Switching Certification Library.
Yep.
Tell us a little bit about it. What can someone expect when getting it?
Yeah. Broken down into the same 3 courses it was before. You've got route and switch and T-shoot. And one of the common questions that comes up is, all right, which should I take first?
Right.
And the answer is not T-shoot. It really doesn't matter. There's not a lot of interdependence between route and switch. So if somebody feels more comfortable with switch, I think it's fine if they want to jump on that one first. In fact, if you were to look at the blueprint for the different exams, switch is like this and route is like this. So it's really less daunting.
Okay.
If somebody wants to kind of wade into the water easy, it's less daunting to maybe do switch first because there's simply not as many topics on the exam. But route has changed a little bit since the previous version, but the core stuff is still there. You got to know OSPF and EIGR and BGP and route redistribution and a few other topics outside of that. Switch, it's pretty much what you would expect, the VLANs and the trunks and security and troubleshoot. The reason I say take that last is because you're troubleshooting everything that you've learned in the prior 2 courses. So that one's got to come last.
So in terms of an approach, doesn't matter if it's route or switch, just not T-shoot first.
Exactly.
Okay. So and are you doing a book signing today, right?
Yeah, I've got a book signing coming up in just a bit.
Okay. And then are you around all week here at Cisco Live if someone wanted to reach out to you? Or?
Yeah, I sure am. If they want to tweet at me, I'm at KWallace CCIE.
Okay.
Yeah, and hey, one thing I'd like to leave your viewers with. One of the questions I get a lot of times is, how can you help me better prepare for this exam? What are some tips you have?
Okay.
And here are the 3 big ones that I see. I've talked to a lot of people around the show already. And the first tip is get really comfortable with the exam blueprint.
Okay.
Because a lot of times I hear people come out of exams, they ask me about topic X. I had no idea that was going to be on the exam. Well, it was actually on the blueprint. So get really familiar with the blueprint. For example, I just wrote the route book, and if anybody wants to see what's on that exam, Cisco's blueprint, I made a shortcut on my website. They can go to kwtrain.com/route blueprint, and those are the topics that are going to be on the route exam. So number 1, get really comfortable with the topics on the exam. Number 2 is schedule your study time. This is probably the biggest problem I hear from people is, I got started, life got in the way, this happened with the kids. Don't say, I'm going to study for my CCNA or I'm going to study for my CCNP. You've actually got to break down blocks of time. For example, you might say, I can carve out an hour a day Monday through Friday. I can carve out 3 hours on Saturday. So you've said you can carve out, what is that, like 8 hours a week. And if you do that for 5 weeks, that's 40 hours of study. So put that on your calendar. Schedule time with yourself. Have family members, friends hold you accountable to that.
Sure.
Because what I often say is what gets scheduled gets done. So number 1, we want to make sure that we get comfortable with that route blueprint or whatever the topic is. We want to schedule our study time. And then finally, I call it getting your hands dirty. It's one thing to understand the theory, but you got to get your hands on the actual gear or a simulation or an emulation. I know Cisco Press, they've got some great network simulators.
Right,
one of the popular topics here at the show this year is Cisco Viral, which is going to give you an emulation if you want to have lots of devices in your network. So those would be my 3 big tips for anybody going after really any certification.
Awesome. Hey, thanks so much. Nice to see you.
You too.
Kevin Wallace, and thanks a lot for all your help on CLN as well, too.
You bet.
Catch him here at the Cisco Press Library, Cisco Press Bookstore. Thanks, everybody.